The story begins with a man resting his hand on the ground, gripping a staff. It was Yan Yongqing, battered, bruised, and trembling from his injuries. He questioned the unseen presence, demanding to know why this was happening. Raising his head, he recognized the figure before him with disbelief. It was Lena, the angel who served the light. Yan Yongqing asked why she had sided with the Demon King Tagmar. The scene shifted to reveal the Demon King lounging on his throne with the goddess floating beside him, her wings radiating light and a glowing halo above her head. Lena calmly explained that humans could never win the war, and siding with the demons had simply been the wisest choice. Fury ignited in Yan Yongqing's eyes as he pointed at her, accusing her betrayal of causing their defeat. Around him, his lifeless party members lay scattered, their bodies broken. The Demon King, utterly indifferent, effortlessly lifted Yongqing into the air with just 2 fingers. "What can a lone healer possibly do?" he sneered. Without touching him, Tagmar began crushing Yan Yongqing's body with an unseen force. Blood sprayed from the healer's mouth as terror filled his eyes. The Demon King clenched his fist, and with that final brutal motion, Yan Yongqing was crushed to death. A black silence fell, but then a system notification appeared. Yan Yongqing's consciousness lingered as he read the words. "You have obtained the Demon Lord system, transferring to the Demon Altar." A panel appeared displaying his stats: HP 47, MP 163 Strength, 5 Stamina, 5 Agility 5, and Intelligence 5. A description explained that mana increased with level and intelligence, and higher-level skills consumed more mana. Yan Yongqing opened his eyes to find himself in an ancient altar surrounded by 10 ominous coffins. He questioned why they were there, and the system informed him that he had become the new Demon Lord. If he worked hard, he could unlock the legendary demons sleeping in those coffins. He had also acquired 2 skills: Demon Summoning, which allowed him to convert souls into demons, and Enslave Demon, which temporarily bound lower-level demons to his will. Despair turned to grim resolve. After years of fighting demons for the light, he now bore the title of Demon Lord. Was this fate's twisted sense of justice? One coffin glowed with blue energy, and Yan Yongqing vowed to take revenge on Lena for her betrayal. The system instructed him to stand at the altar's center to return to the human world. As he stepped onto it, blue light shimmered and gathered in the coffin, the energy surging into Yan Yongqing and turning golden as it transported him. Determined, he resolved to settle the score with the Angel of Light. However, the scene shifted to a grave where a man named Su Dingfang, a level 2 warrior, stood with flowers. He muttered bitterly that Yan Yongqing had been the worst, abandoning his comrades to die. Suddenly a voice echoed, "At least build me a proper gravestone." Su Dingfang spun around, stunned, to see Yan Yongqing standing there casually commenting on his own tombstone. The shock made Su Dingfang spit out his lollipop, exclaiming in disbelief. Grinning, Yan Yongqing assured him that he was as real as it got. Su Dingfang burst into tears, saying they had mourned him for 5 years. This revelation stunned Yan Yongqing, who couldn't believe half a decade had passed. Moments later, however, he scolded Su Dingfang for still being a level 2 warrior after 5 years. Furious, Su Dingfang snapped back, demanding if that was really the most important point. They hopped onto a scooter and drove past a colossal angel statue. Yan Yongqing's eyes narrowed as he dismissed humanity's belief that the angels had defeated the demons. He revealed the truth of Lena's betrayal, shaking Su Dingfang to his core. Su Dingfang suggested celebrating Yan Yongqing's return with food, but the newly resurrected Demon Lord refused, insisting they head straight to the dungeon. At the dungeon entrance, Yan Yongqing exploded with rage upon learning of the entry fee and the 80% profit cut a guild took. A smug, bespectacled man dismissed his complaints, explaining that dungeon fees had been standard for years. Su Dingfang dragged Yan Yongqing away, warning him not to pick a fight, as the dungeon staff outnumbered them. He explained how humans had forced monsters into dungeons, but as the seals weakened, adventurers had to constantly fight to keep them contained. Yet after the angels' supposed victory, guilds had turned dungeons into profit machines, leaving independent adventurers like Su Dingfang stuck at low levels. Grateful for Su Dingfang covering his ticket, Yan Yongqing promised to repay him soon. Inside the dungeon, Yan Yongqing revealed his level had reset to 1 and asked Su Dingfang to help him level up. The two ventured in only to be attacked by a giant scorpion. Su Dingfang confidently charged the monster, swiftly blocking its attack with his shield and slicing through its body. Yan Yongqing observed that while Su Dingfang was a tank, his level advantage made these monsters trivial. He shouted for Su Dingfang to pull more enemies and start AoE farming. With his friend's help, Yan Yongqing quickly reached level 2, marking the first step on his path to revenge. The level up granted him a second demon conversion slot and a new skill, Soul Tremor, which paralyzed enemies with fear. Excited, Yan Yongqing tightened his fist, prepared to show Su Dingfang something new. Channeling orange energy, he used his demon conversion skill. The energy swirled around the scorpion's corpse, and from it a crimson scorpion warrior emerged, now a loyal demon under Yan Yongqing's command. Su Dingfang watched in awe as the majestic level 1 demon warrior rose, marking the first step on Yan Yongqing's new path as the demon lord. Yan Yongqing felt a jolt of surprise as the scorpion monster transformed into a humanoid demon. Su Dingfang observed the shift, noting that it seemed to share the common demon trait of shapeshifting and calling the skill incredibly cool. With determination burning in his eyes, Yan Yongqing commanded his new demon warriors to clear out the minions before they faced the final boss. The warriors dashed into the dungeon's depths, swiftly eliminating the smaller monsters. As a result, both Yan Yongqing and Su Dingfang gained experience. Yan Yongqing acknowledged the summoned demons' strength, noting they surpassed minions of the same level. Su Dingfang, with a smug grin, suggested leaving the demon warriors to grind, while Yan Yongqing rested, claiming it would be an effortless way to level up. Yan Yongqing admitted he had considered that, but the dungeon fees and profit cuts made every run a financial loss. Suddenly, the severed head of a level 1 demon warrior tumbled toward them. Su Dingfang's shock was palpable as he realized the warrior who had so easily defeated the minions had been killed in a single shot. The dying demon, barely clinging to life, apologized to Yan Yongqing, explaining they had cleared the last minion, but inadvertently alerted the boss, who was far beyond their capabilities. Yan Yongqing reassured the demon that he hadn't expected it to defeat the boss anyway. The gruesome aftermath painted a brutal picture. The torn body parts of the demon warriors were scattered everywhere. In front of the carnage stood the final boss, Mole King Rark. Su Dingfang proposed sticking to their strategy, offering to shield Yan Yongqing, but the new demon lord refused, choosing to act as bait instead. Despite Su Dingfang's hesitation, Yan Yongqing insisted he would be fine, and provocatively flipped off the final boss. The insult enraged the creature. Yan Yongqing sprinted to the left, acting as the perfect bait. As the monster lunged after him, he lured it into position. Just as the boss was about to strike with its massive jaw, Yan Yongqing activated his soul tremor skill, paralyzing the monster. "Now!" he shouted. Su Dingfang charged in and struck the monster's exposed rear, spilling its blood. But the skill suddenly failed, and the boss, writhing in pain, dug a massive hole and escaped underground. Breathing hard, Yan Yongqing joked about Su Dingfang's attack, likening it to slicing a mountain with a butter knife. Su Dingfang retorted, explaining the boss was heavily armored everywhere except its belly and rear. Yan Yongqing quickly formulated a new plan. The boss would likely target him again, fearing another soul tremor. He instructed Su Dingfang to stand directly across from him, sword at the ready to strike the moment the boss emerged. Trusting his companion, Su Dingfang prepared himself. The ground rumbled as the boss burst forth, claws extended. At the perfect moment, Su Dingfang stabbed the monster, forcing it fully above ground. Enraged, the boss retaliated, shattering Su Dingfang's shield as its claws nearly tore him apart. But Su Dingfang dodged just in time, and Yan Yongqing immobilized the boss again, signaling for his friend to finish the job. With one final brutal slash, Su Dingfang tore through the boss's belly, killing it. A system notification announced their victory and the rewards. Rark's explosive carapace shield, which stored blocked damage to release in a counterattack, and a short dagger that occasionally triggered an extra slash. Amazed by the rare drops, Su Dingfang asked if Yan Yongqing had chosen this dungeon intentionally. Yan Yongqing explained that dungeon types often shared patterns, and he had suspected a weaker version of a high-level boss might appear here. After claiming their loot, the duo exited the dungeon. Curious, Su Dingfang reminded Yan Yongqing that he used to be a priest, questioning if he was comfortable wielding a dagger. Yan Yongqing admitted he had learned a few tricks from the assassins in his old team and had always wanted to be a melee fighter, but chose healing for the team's sake. He mentioned that selling the dungeon materials might finally allow him to repay Su Dingfang. However, Su Dingfang started to warn him about recent price manipulations when the scene abruptly shifted. Yan Yongqing slammed his hand on a desk, furious at the dungeon administrator, a man named Jut. He accused the portly man of monopolizing material prices, forcing adventurers to sell their loot for cheap and lose money after fees and profit cuts. Jut, a rotund figure, mockingly told them to be grateful they weren't simply robbed, even threatening to start charging for experience points. Flipping them off, the administrator taunted the pair while surrounded by his black-suited enforcers. Su Dingfang urgently urged Yan Yongqing to back down, warning him that they were hopelessly outnumbered. They couldn't afford to offend the guild. Yan Yongqing's expression grew serious fury, burning in his eyes as he muttered that the dungeon administrator was a demon. To him alone, the shadowy silhouette of a demon became visible, superimposed over the man. Unfazed, the administrator Jut raised his middle finger and sneered, "What are you staring at?" Glancing to the side, Yan Yongqing noticed the black-suited men glaring at him. Without another word, he turned to leave. "Su Dingfang, let's go." One of the suited men scoffed, calling them lowly peasants and telling them to get lost. Just as they were about to exit, Jut's voice echoed, mocking them for hurting his feelings with their earlier doubts. He demanded Su Dingfang leave his shield as compensation for the so-called emotional damage. Su Dingfang protested, saying it was all he had, but Yan Yongqing, without turning back, told him to hand it over. His menacing gaze lingered as he promised, "I'll be taking it back soon enough." Night fell. A dimly lit building stood with cars lined up outside. Inside, the black-suited men lounged around. Some ate while others rested on sofas. One turned on the TV where a news report warned of a recent surge in missing adventurers inside the dungeon. Investigations were ongoing, and adventurers were advised to stay cautious. At a dining table, one man questioned why Mr. Jut, the dungeon administrator, visited the secluded building every week. His boss dismissed the question, telling him to ask Jut himself. The scene shifted to a door emanating an ominous aura. Behind it, a gruesome sight unfolded. Jut gnawed on a severed hand, his eyes gleaming with malice. Back in the main room, the men heard a noise outside. One decided to check, assuming it was just a stray animal. But shock overwhelmed him when he discovered a stone had been thrown at their car. As he cursed in disbelief, Yan Yongqing surged from the shadows, wind swirling around him, his hair rippling like a storm. The suited man stumbled back inside, disoriented as the others demanded to know what had happened. Before he could answer, he collapsed, debuffed by soul tremor. Yan Yongqing burst into the room, moving like lightning, and kicked one of the gang members with brutal force. Drawing his dagger, he brought chaos to the room. One of the men tried to charge his magic, but Yan Yongqing dashed forward, slashing him apart in an instant. Bodies dropped one by one until only a single man remained. Trembling, he screamed for someone to kill the intruder, but Yan Yongqing unleashed soul tremor again, ensuring no one was left standing. Approaching the door that radiated the sinister aura, Yan Yongqing felt its overwhelming presence. He opened it, his breath hitching at the grotesque sight. Jut the dungeon administrator feasted on human flesh at a table surrounded by mountains of skulls. Unfazed by the intrusion, Yan Yongqing's voice laced with cold determination declared, "I've finally found your hiding place." Licking his fingers clean, Jut laughed darkly and announced that Yan Yongqing would be next on the menu. He mocked the audacity of a mere level 2 adventurer daring to challenge him, proclaiming that the boy had sealed his own fate. Grinning, Yan Yongqing reminded Jut of his earlier promise. "If someone takes what is mine, I make sure to take it back." He unsheathed his dagger, one hand casually in his pocket, the blade gleaming with intent. Gathering magic in his hands, Jut spat threats promising to roast the boy alive and make him regret his arrogance. He launched a barrage of magic at Yan Yongqing, who lunged forward gracefully, dodging the attacks. He spun through the air, narrowly evading every spell. Jut's eyes widened in shock, unable to comprehend how someone could avoid his magic so effortlessly. Without hesitation, Yan Yongqing began slashing at him, relentless and precise. Jut recalled this boy registering as a level 1 healer, leaving him baffled by this display of agility. Despite the flurry of attacks, Jut barely managed to evade, with one dagger swipe grazing dangerously close. He gasped, realizing how close he had come to death, only to see that in an instant his body already bore numerous slash wounds. Unfazed Yan Yongqing admired Jut's abilities, fire-based magic and flight, and deemed him worthy of becoming a servant. Frustrated, Jut roared, demanding Yan Yongqing stop acting tough. A monstrous red hand burst from his mouth, triggering an explosion of debris. As the dust settled, his true form emerged, a level 2 elite demon named Burner Pondi. Yan Yongqing instinctively backed away. Now, Free Burner Pondi mocked him, assuming he was just a low-level adventurer. The demon sneered, mentioning that he had accidentally burned his previous host and was lamenting the need to find another. Seizing the moment of distraction, Yan Yongqing activated his skill Enslave Demon. He realized he had to act fast and began casting the spell. The elite demon, noticing the spell, vanished at lightning speed, zipping around the room with blinding agility. He taunted Yan Yongqing, boasting that no spell with a long casting time could ever hit him. The demon's speed was overwhelming. He managed to strike, but Yan Yongqing lunged backward, narrowly avoiding the blow as the demon's flames scorched the floor, burning through it instantly. Yan Yongqing noted the disadvantage of fighting in such a cramped space and decided to change the battlefield. He escaped to the rooftop and leaped toward the forest. The demon gave chase, flames blazing, claiming that his hellfire would reduce anything to ashes. The pursuit through the forest was fierce, with the demon hunting at an incredible pace. Yan Yongqing hid in the shadows, waiting for an opportunity to strike. The demon searched, taunting him for hiding like a rat. But Yan Yongqing lurked on a branch above, dagger ready. Just as the demon sensed danger and turned, Yan Yongqing struck, barely missing his target, but managing to slice the demon's leg. Enraged, the demon retaliated with a blast of hellfire, but Yan Yongqing dodged and grabbed the demon's tail, using it to swing clear of the flames. The chase intensified, flames engulfing the forest as the demon fired relentlessly. Yan Yongqing reached a dead end, a sheer mountain face. Confident in his victory, the demon charged an inferno cannon, obliterating the mountain. Gloating, he assumed Yan Yongqing had been reduced to ashes. Yet at that moment, a massive claw emerged from the ground, pinning the demon in place. It was Rark, the Mole King he had defeated, now his loyal servant. The demon, confused, realized Yan Yongqing had anticipated the attack and baited him into a trap. Furious, he attempted to break free, but spectral chains wrapped around his neck. Wielding the power of enslaved demon, Yan Yongqing walked toward him, commanding him to cease all movement. The demon succumbed to the spell, his eyes going blank. Yan Yongqing ordered Rark to release him. Now under Yan Yongqing's control, Burner Pondy obediently handed over all his valuable items, revealing the fortune he had amassed from monopolizing the low-level dungeons. Just then, the enslavement chains shattered. Burner Pondy broke free and lunged at Yan Yongqing, aiming to kill. But Yan Yongqing was prepared. He struck with his dagger, severing the demon's head in one fatal blow. A system notification appeared announcing the elite demon's elimination and Yan Yongqing's level up to 3. He gained a new skill lord's privilege which allowed him to share experience points with his demon servants and better utilize their skills. Now stronger Yan Yongqing forced the fallen demon to swear loyalty. The elite demon was revived as his servant, filling the second of 3 slots in his demonic roster. With a cold stare, Yan Yongqing ordered his new servant to lead him to more dungeons, determined to shatter the rogue guild's monopoly. The scene shifts to an apartment building focusing on a particular flat. A delivery boy knocks on the door announcing a delivery. The apartment belongs to Su Dingfang. Confused Su Dingfang mutters that he hasn't ordered anything recently but accepts the package anyway. He places it on his desk, opens it, and gasps. The package is heavy, filled with gold bars and his shield. A piece of paper inside carries a message from Yan Yongqing. The shield has been retrieved for you. Don't use all the gold for charity. Keep some for yourself. If you ever feel like dungeon crawling, call me. Su Dingfang's eyes widen in shock and excitement. He clutches the shield, disbelief washing over him as he marvels at the sheer size of the gold bars. His voice echoes through the apartment as he shouts, "Awesome, I'm rich!" Outside, the delivery boy smirks. He is the newly enslaved Burner Pondy, now a level 3 demon servant. He reports the successful delivery. Communicating remotely while riding his other servant Rark, Yan Yongqing asks if it was the right address. As he walks down the stairs, Burner Pondy explains that shutting down one of the temples will weaken the Light Angel's power. Facing the temple, Yan Yongqing acknowledges the strategy and instructs Rark to enter stealth mode. The overseer attacked indiscriminately, killing even his own soldiers in a colossal blast. Smoke billowed from the devastation, but Yan Yongqing emerged unharmed, shielded by Rark. The Scorpion King growled and Yan Yongqing translated, amused. He added his own sentiment, "Trash, you disgust me." The overseer, seething with contempt, lunged at Yan Yongqing, vowing to make him regret stepping into the temple. Elsewhere, a purple-haired man interrogated a terrified adventurer, showing him a picture of Su Dingfang. The adventurer, trembling, revealed Su Dingfang's address and begged to leave. The purple-haired man, feigning mercy, let the adventurer run, then coldly slew him with a skill called Magic Blade Hidden Heart. The scene shifts back to Su Dingfang's apartment. A knock on the door interrupted his celebration. Expecting another delivery, he opened the door only to find the purple-haired man standing there, his gaze cold and sharp. "Are you Su Dingfang?" he asked, his voice dripping with menace. The scene shifted back to Yan Yongqing, who spotted a knight sitting on the temple's throne. The knight's gaze locked onto him, a sneer curling on his lips, as he asked how a bug had managed to infiltrate the chamber. He questioned the overseer's whereabouts, wondering aloud if he had fallen asleep. Yan Yongqing cracked his knuckles and smirked, mentioning the overseer as he retrieved something from his inventory. With a cold, deliberate motion, he hurled the overseer's severed head toward the throne. The head rolled to a stop, its lifeless eyes staring into nothingness. "The overseer is indeed asleep," Yan Yongqing remarked. "Permanently." The knight's expression darkened as he processed the sight. He muttered in disbelief, acknowledging that Yan Yongqing had taken down a level 3 elite without a scratch. He admitted the intruder was tougher than the average bug, then drew a gleaming sword from his inventory, warning that Yan Yongqing had no idea who he was up against. "I am Arbiter Argus, commander of the corrupted Radiant Knights," he introduced himself, his body crackling with golden light. His level remained a mystery. Without hesitation, Yan Yongqing activated his soul tremor skill, but Argus effortlessly resisted it, leaving him stunned. Argus lunged forward, launching a barrage of powerful strikes. Yan Yongqing barely dodged, flipping into the air. He countered with a magic spell, but the knight summoned a light shield, deflecting the attack. The impact created an explosion, filling the arena with smoke. In the mist, Argus pondered how a low-level fire skill had managed to crack his shield, the strongest defense of its kind. But before he could react, Yan Yongqing emerged from the shadows, driving a dagger into the knight's neck. Blood sprayed and Argus staggered. He turned to face Yan Yongqing, accusing him of an unethical sneak attack. Yan Yongqing grinned. "Everything is fair in love and war," he declared, mocking Argus for serving the light goddess who had betrayed humanity and questioning the knight's sense of morality. Argus fell to his knees, hands trembling as blood pooled around him. Despite the grievous wound, golden light shimmered around his neck, healing him at an unnatural speed. Yan Yongqing's eyes widened, realizing this recovery surpassed even the best priest's abilities. Now fully healed, Argus retaliated with a brutal shoulder charge, sending Yan Yongqing flying. Argus's blade radiated golden energy as he activated his Radiant Flash skill, a massive area attack that engulfed the entire arena. Convinced of victory, Argus returned to his throne, grumbling about the incompetence of the Jew Scorpion Guild for allowing such trash to slip through. Just as he settled back, a familiar voice rang out. Yan Yongqing, alive and standing, declared he finally remembered who Argus was. Years ago, when Yan Yongqing was a rookie, a teammate had been brutalized by the Jew Scorpion Guild for reclaiming a stolen magic stone. When his teammate sought justice from the Adventurers' Tribunal, he was instead stripped of his qualifications, while the elite guild member responsible went unpunished. The knight who had ruled in favor of the guild back then had been none other than Argus himself. Rattled by the revelation, Argus claimed the goddess's favor shielded him and his followers from the consequences of mortal actions. He unsheathed his sword once more, asserting that Yan Yongqing's survival had been a fluke. This time, he swore the strike would be inescapable. Argus invoked light judgment, summoning a colossal golden blade that hovered above the arena. The massive sword locked onto Yan Yongqing, ready to deliver a fatal blow. Sensing the overwhelming danger, Yan Yongqing realized dodging was impossible. He braced himself, knowing he had only one option left. He would have to use that move. Yan Yongqing unleashed his final move. Energy swirled violently around his hands as a crimson glow pulsed from his fingertips. With a sharp motion, he activated his skill Burning Time. Instantly, a translucent shield materialized, enveloping him in a protective aura. The corrupted Radiant Knight narrowed his eyes. "So that's how you survived my Radiant Flash earlier," he sneered. "But this time your luck won't hold." With a mighty swing, he hurled his colossal sword toward the main character. The blade met the energy shield with a thunderous impact, sending shockwaves through the battlefield. The shield trembled under the force as cracks spiderwebbed across its surface. The corrupted Radiant Knight sneered. "A mere level 3 wielding a shield of this caliber, I'll admit you're stronger than the average rookie. But against me, you're nothing." The main character gritted his teeth, struggling to maintain his defense. The massive sword pressed forward, piercing through the shield inch by inch. Then, with a sharp crack, the tip of the blade shattered. In an instant, a dome-like explosion erupted, sending debris flying in all directions. The corrupted Radiant Knight recoiled, shielding himself with his arm. "Did I release too much mana?" he muttered. "My power feels stronger than usual today." As the dust settled, the main character emerged unscathed and unwavering. The knight's expression darkened. He survived again. Impossible. I didn't hold back. The main character studied his own handiwork, transforming Burner Pondi's Burning Time flame skill into a shield. It seems to retain its unique effect, he thought. As long as my opponent's level doesn't completely suppress mine, The burn time effect applies to their attacks as well. A swirl of black-red energy coiled around his palm. He raised his hand, his voice steady. Now it's my turn to strike. Activating Lord's Privilege and soul-exploding inferno, he gathered an immense surge of power, his aura flickering like an untamed wildfire. With a swift motion, he hurled the attack toward the corrupted Radiant Knight. The knight braced himself, raising his sword to block. The moment their powers collided, an earth-shaking impact sent tremors through the arena. What terrifying strength, the knight thought, clenching his jaw. I can't hold on much longer. The battlefield lay in ruin, a thick cloud of smoke and debris filling the air. As it cleared, the corrupted Radiant Knight stood, albeit shaken. Impressive. To think you could fight me to this extent. You're leagues above the adventurers I've crushed before. With a dismissive chuckle, he let go of his sword. No matter. I can heal in no time. Yet as golden light shimmered around his severed left hand, his expression shifted to one of horror. Instead of healing, the same black-red energy that the main character wielded engulfed his wound. What is this? He gasped. Does your attack have some kind of special effect? The energy spread rapidly, consuming him from within. His legs buckled and he fell to one knee. The main character stepped forward, cold determination in his gaze. That's the second time you've knelt before me. Tell me, isn't it unbecoming of a so-called Radiant Knight to have such soft knees? The knight trembled. Spare me. I'll do anything you ask. The main character's expression remained impassive. Oh, did I forget to finish my story? The knight hesitated. What story? My teammate, the one who lost his adventurer qualification. He struggled to find work. The Jew Scorpion Guild's influence made it impossible for him to survive. People mocked him, whispered behind his back. They called him a fool for going against them. By the time we finally reached him, we were too late. He had taken his own life. Silence stretched between them, the weight of the words pressing down like an unrelenting force. The main character tightened his grip on the fallen knight's sword. So tell me, do you really think I would let you off? The corrupted Radiant Knight, still trembling, pleaded, I'll follow you. I'll tell you everything I know. The main character's gaze darkened. All right. For a fleeting moment, hope flashed in the knight's eyes. Internally, he plotted. Good, he's let his guard down. I still have some mana left. Now's my chance. His thoughts were cut short by a single swift stroke. A flash of steel and his head flew through the air. The main character exhaled slowly. If you want to follow me, you'll have to do it after you're dead. A system notification flickered before him. New skills acquired. Twin summon. Instantly summon a servant to your side or reverse summon yourself to their location. 25. Mana, demon form. Temporarily enhances attack defense and speed while increasing resistance to fear and weak control effects. 100 mana plus 5 mana sec. He clicked on the notification, a thought crossing his mind. Speaking of my servant, wasn't Pondi supposed to be grinding for experience in another dungeon? Why didn't I receive any extra XP? I should have reached level 5 before facing the boss. That fight would have been much easier. His voice carried through the void. Pondi, are you slacking off? Where's the XP I assigned you to grind? The response came almost immediately. Ah, my liege. There's been a slight complication. The scene shifted. Su Dingfang, battered and bleeding, lay against a shattered wall. Before him stood the purple-haired man, Nita. His presence radiated menace as his eyes locked onto the level 3 demon, Burner Pondi. Who the hell are you? Nita sneered. Why are you interfering? Burner. Pondi stood his ground, red energy gathering around his hand. I don't care if you slaughter everyone else in this city, but the man behind me belongs to my liege. You are not allowed to touch him. Su Dingfang, struggling to stay conscious, stared at Pondi in disbelief. Did he just say liege? Did Yan Yongqing send him? Looks like he's gained another lackey. With a cough, he warned, "Hey, watch out. This guy is strong." The scene shifted. 1 hour earlier, Su Dingfang had barely stepped out of his apartment when a hand shot toward his face, sending him flying. He crashed through his own window, spiraling toward the street below. He had been hurled out of his apartment by the purple-haired man. As he crashed onto the ground, blood trickled from his mouth. One strike, just one, and a tank adventurer like him had lost consciousness. When he came to, he found himself in an abandoned suburban parking lot. Before he could fully process his surroundings, a battle had already begun. Burner Pondy stood against Netta. In an instant, the purple-haired man disappeared from his spot and reappeared right beside Pondy, delivering a devastating blow. As Pondy reeled from the impact, he couldn't help but compare his opponent's speed. It was even faster than his liege's. With another brutal strike, Nita sent Pondy crashing into a wall. At that precise moment, he activated his skill-wind magic tower game. A sharp white energy blade materialized at the impact point, waiting to impale its target. Mid-air, Pondy sensed the lethal energy forming on the wall. With swift reflexes, he halted himself just inches away from it, narrowly avoiding impalement. Nita, watching intently, realized what had happened. He dodged it. Could he actually see my invisible blade? Pondy couldn't see the blade, but he could feel the faint magical fluctuation. Judging by the sudden spell cast in that direction, he knew it wasn't meaningless. Staying cautious was key. He had been tricked before in one of his liege's battles. Before he could react further, Nita's fist was inches from his face. "That was just a feint," he declared. But at the last second, Pondy evaded. The punch smashed through the wall, leaving a gaping hole. But Nita wasn't done. He followed up with a powerful kick, sending Pondy tumbling across the parking lot. Pondy barely had time to think. The enemy was attacking too fast. There was no time to cast a counterspell. His liege had instructed him not to use his demon form outside dungeons, but the situation was dire. Nita struck again, this time with his invisible blade. The cut was deep. Pondy collapsed into a pool of his own blood. Coughing, he thought, "Damn it. I risked my life, but I couldn't even protect my liege's friend." Nita loomed over him. "I don't know how you dodged my first move, but my invisible blade isn't just stationary, you know." Just then, a system notification appeared before Pondy. "Your liege has shared a skill with you, Twin Summon. Use it now to reverse summon your liege." Nita sneered, "Die now." But before the fatal strike could land, Pondy activated Reverse Summon Demon Lord. Black-red energy enveloped his body as he thought, "Liege, I'm sorry for failing your expectations." In an instant, he vanished. Nita's eyes widened. Where did he go? His confusion deepened when he turned and saw Yan Yongqing carrying the wounded Pondy in his arms. A bead of sweat rolled down his face. "You must be joking. Even my eyes, trained for speed, couldn't keep up." Yan Yongqing glanced at Su Dingfang. "Geez, you're a tank. How'd you let yourself get beaten this badly?" "At least I'm alive," Su Dingfang coughed, "thanks to your subordinate." From the back, Netta recognized him. "He's the guy, isn't he? The second target." His eyes narrowed. "You actually came here on your own. That's like walking into your own grave." Before he could continue, Yan Yongqing raised a finger. "It's not your turn to talk yet." Netta clenched his teeth. "You bastard!" Ignoring him, Yan Yongqing turned to Pondy. "Take Su Dingfang away. I'll heal you both later." Understanding the command, Pondy bowed his head. "Understood, my liege." With that, he and Su Dingfang vanished from the battlefield. Netta immediately sprang forward, lunging at Yan Yongqing. "Such arrogance." Without moving much, Yan Yongqing calmly raised his right hand. "Didn't I already say so?" And with one swift motion, he delivered a devastating slap. The impact was so fierce that Netta spun through the air like a cartoon character, landing hard on his back and crushing part of the parking lot. Coughing blood, he stared in shock. "Who is this guy?" Even if he lied about his level at the entrance registration, I know all the big names in this area, but I've never seen him before. Looks like I have no choice but to get serious. Before he could act, Yan Yongqing appeared before him, moving faster than his eyes could track. So fast he thought barely able to react. But then a sinister grin formed on his face. "You've stepped right into my trap." At that moment, the invisible blade's energy shifted, ensnaring Yan Yongqing where he stood. Netta unleashed his abilities, locking him in place. A smug grin spread across his face as he taunted him, remarking that he was pinned like a specimen. His laughter rang out, but quickly faded when he saw the unwavering gaze of his opponent. Sweat trickled down his forehead as he sneered, declaring that a no-name newbie could never outplay a seasoned veteran like himself. But before he could relish his supposed victory, the restraints he had placed shattered in an instant. Shock widened his eyes. The golden shield enveloping Yan Yongqing neutralized every attack. A tremor of realization struck him. "Could you be a holy knight?" Yan Yongqing met his gaze with a cold stare, expressing his disappointment. "Is this the true strength of a level A assassin? Even my grandmother could put up a better fight." The insult sent a jolt of fury through Netta. His hands clenched, magic surging around him, but Yan Yongqing turned his back and walked away. "You're too weak. Not even worth killing. Deliver a message to your masters. Don't interfere with my people again, or I will wipe out your entire guild." Trembling with rage, Nita roared, refusing to be looked down upon. Magic ignited around him as he activated his skill. Bright blade full form. Initial slash. The parking lot trembled, debris crashing down from the force of his attack. Yan Yongqing barely glanced over his shoulder. "Are you courting death?" The golden shield absorbed the falling wreckage without a scratch. Despite the fierce strike, his opponent stood unharmed. Yan Yongqing smirked, acknowledging the slight improvement in damage output, but deeming it insufficient to break his defenses. In an instant, Nita vanished, teleporting behind him with a red dagger gleaming ominously. "If even that attack failed, perhaps this move will succeed," he shouted, lunging for the kill. Yan Yongqing remained unfazed, deeming the effort futile as the golden shield activated once more. Nita gritted his teeth, revealing, "This demon-slaying sword cost me nearly everything. It was meant to be unstoppable against shield users like you." Yan Yongqing responded flatly. "Is that so?" The dagger struck piercing through the golden shield. But just as it made contact, a second red shield manifested, shattering the weapon instantly. The assassin's breath hitched, finding it impossible to comprehend. Before he could react, a brutal kick crashed into his face, sending him soaring through the air out of the parking lot and into the sky. As he tumbled, disbelief consumed him. He struggled to understand how there could be another layer of shielding and why the second one had destroyed his demon-slaying sword. Above him, Yan Yongqing closed in. The assassin pleaded for his life, warning that killing him would bring the wrath of the Jew Scorpion Guild. Yan Yongqing's expression remained unreadable as he pointed out that the guild had already sent him. Horror flashed across the assassin's face before a final burst of magic sent him hurtling toward a mountain. The impact shattered a chunk of rock, leaving his burnt and broken body sprawled in the rubble. From a distance, Su Dingfang and Burner Pondi observed the battle. The demon noted that after just one exchange, Yan Yongqing had already mastered his skill and even combined it with his own traits, enhancing it beyond its original form. Su Dingfang scoffed, expressing skepticism. He believed it was merely level suppression, explaining that a higher-level fighter always had the advantage. "Same attacks, same defenses," he said, "but the lower-level one takes more damage." The demon smirked, expressing his excitement at following someone with such potential. He believed that the ultimate rival of the demons was now within their reach. The scene shifted. Yan Yongqing stood beside the burnt body of Netta. A notification appeared he had defeated the adventurer and gained 250 experience points. A second notification followed indicating that he had acquired Assassin's Ashes, an item that could be used for demon conversion. His expression darkened as he reflected on the revelation. He realized that killing people granted experience points, and that adventurers provided slightly more XP than regular monsters akin to elite enemies. A grim thought crossed his mind. He had previously focused solely on grinding for health, never engaging in combat or killing. The Adventurers' Alliance forbade such actions on the surface, but he now saw that gaining XP from adventurers was far easier than grinding dungeons. The scene cut to a level 3 dungeon. A chained masked man collapsed as a sword sliced through him. A notification appeared indicating that 50 XP had been gained. Standing over the corpse was a level 6 elite adventurer of the Ju Scorpion Guild hunter Ju Yin. He clicked his tongue, remarking that he had accidentally sliced his opponent in half. The fight had ended too quickly, making it no fun. A voice interrupted him, commenting that he seemed to be working hard to level up. Ju Yin turned to see his brother Jutong. He greeted him casually, questioning what had brought him to the dungeon, as he was not known for being interested in leveling up. Jutong smirked, clarifying that he was merely curious. He questioned why Ju Yin always covered their faces after killing them, pointing out the lifeless chained bodies littering the dungeon. He speculated whether Ju Yin feared nightmares and seeing their faces in his dreams. Ju Yin scoffed, dismissing the idea. He explained that he covered their faces so he could focus entirely on their eyes. His expression twisted into something grotesque as he admitted that he enjoyed watching the light fade from them bit by bit, calling it the ultimate thrill. Growing bored, he shifted the conversation, questioning what Jutong wanted, assuming he wasn't there just to offer a brotherly warning. Jutong chuckled, insisting that he was simply bringing him some XP. Ju Yin's interest was piqued. Jutong pulled out his phone and held up a picture, remarking that Ju Yin enjoyed killing adventurers to level up. He pointed out that this one was a level 5 adventurer and suggested that his XP should be worth more than that of the level 3s. Ju Yin's smirk widened. The scene shifted to an apartment building. Yan Yongqing and Su Dingfeng sat on the sofa. Su Dingfeng, positioned in a chair, lifted a 50 kilogrammer weight, focusing on his exercise. Yan Yongqing observed him and remarked that he had just finished healing Su Dingfeng's injuries, questioning whether it was wise to push himself so hard so soon. Unfazed, Su Dingfeng responded that this actually helped his recovery, allowing him to regain strength more effectively. He then inquired why Yan Yongqing hadn't rushed to the dungeons to level up as he usually did. With indifference, Yan Yongqing replied that he never said he wasn't leveling up. His minions were currently farming in the dungeon and his experience was rising steadily. The scene shifted to a level 6 dungeon known as the Devil's Lair. There, Burner Pondi, a demon and servant of the main character, had now reached level 5. He sternly reminded the other servants not to slack off. The other demon servants, all level 5, included Rark Arbiter Argus and the assassin Neta. They all turned their gaze toward Pondi. Neta scoffed, questioning why Pondi, who served the same liege as the rest of them, got to lounge around and bark orders. Arbiter Argus joined in accusing Pondi of merely relaxing in his original form while they did all the work. He pointed his sword at Pondi, threatening to slice him in half. Pondi, gripping the tip of the sword, retorted that aside from the dumb bug, he had been with their liege the longest. Since that bug wasn't particularly intelligent, he asked them who else they would rather listen to. The so-called dumb bug Pondi referred to was Rark the Scorpion King. Meanwhile, Rark was busy chasing an ant, unintentionally proving Pondi's point. Pondi suggested a competition instead of arguing. Without waiting for a response, he shot forward toward a horde of imps. As he flew, he challenged them to see who could contribute more experience to their master. The other demons, startled by his speed, hesitated for a moment. Pondi reached the imp horde and unleashed his fire magic. The flames were so powerful they swept through the entire horde in an instant, earning him a massive amount of experience points. The aftermath of his attack left nothing but scorched skeletons, their remains slowly withering away. Just then an imp lunged at him from behind. However, Pondi, marveling at the power granted by their liege, didn't notice immediately. The level 5 imp raised its weapon poised to strike, but before it could land a blow, it was swiftly cut into pieces. The attacker was none other than Nita, who sneered at Pondi, accusing him of being too distracted by stealing kills to watch his own back. As Nita spoke, another imp lunged at him, but he was still busy chiding Pondi. He remarked that Pondi's mana-draining AoE attacks left little for the rest of them. Before the imp could strike, Neta activated his skill, slicing his attacker in half. He smirked, stating that Pondi wasn't the only one with AoE skills. Before they could react, another horde of imps charged toward them. Neta activated his skill, Invisible Blade Grounded Slash, cutting down the entire group in one swift motion. He turned to Pondi smugly, claiming that his AoE attack was just as effective. Just then, a shadow loomed over them. Arbiter Argus landed with a heavy thud and thanked them for grouping up the enemies for him. Irritated, Nita snapped that this wasn't how one stole kills. Meanwhile, Pondi cackled evilly in the background. Arbiter Argus's sword shone with a golden light as he unleashed Holy Slash, decimating a massive area in mere seconds. The scene shifted back to Yan Yongqing, who was strolling near a forest. Without lifting a finger, he was gaining experience points as his minions continued their battle. He noted how his experience was skyrocketing and deduced that his minions must be getting competitive. Just then, someone called out to him from afar. Alerted, he turned to see a level 5 dwarf warrior. Yan Yongqing leaned toward Su Dingfang and whispered, questioning why a dwarf was there. He noted that dwarves were notoriously greedy, willing to risk an entire party for a mere pebble-sized piece of ore. The dwarf, having overheard, slammed his hammer to the ground in protest. He insisted that people misunderstood dwarves. While greed was indeed one of their strengths, so was loyalty. He declared that a dwarf would never betray his teammates for riches and gave them a confident thumbs up. Su Dingfang reassured Yan Yongqing, explaining that the dwarf dove was an old acquaintance from the guild and was trustworthy. Yan Yongqing relented but pointed out that they were still short on party members. A 5-person dungeon won't let us in without a full team. Su Dingfang chuckled and gestured for him to look up. Behind a massive rock stood a towering figure, a level 5 giant archer named Eileen. She hesitantly stepped out, revealing her immense size. The group was momentarily stunned before she quickly hid behind the rock again. Su Dingfang explained with amusement that despite her size, Eileen was actually quite shy. Still puzzled, Yan Yongqing asked about the last party member. At that moment, a voice echoed, apologizing for being late due to traffic. Yan Yongqing turned to see the final member, Ju Yin, a level 4 adventurer hunter. Ju Yin greeted them with a reassuring yet cunning smile. Internally, he noted that he had never been in the spotlight and had even disguised his true level. They probably believe I'm weak, he assumed. Su Dingfang placed a hand on Ju Yin's shoulder, explaining that he was a former guild member recommended by their ex-leader. He had a rough past and begged to be taken in, Su Dingfang said. Ju Yin expressed his gratitude. Su Dingfang continued warning the others not to be deceived by Ju Yin's low level. He's a strong control-type support, invaluable in dungeons. Yan Yongqing studied Ju Yin, sensing that something was off. He indeed appeared to be level 4, but there was an unusual aura about him. The scene transitioned to 2 hours earlier in an apartment where Su Dingfang questioned Yan Yongqing. Are we forming another 5-person team to explore a different dungeon? He asked. Yan Yongqing responded with a questioning tone, wondering if it was difficult to gather an A-team. Su Dingfang assured him that it wasn't a problem taking on the task himself. He noted how hardcore Yan Yongqing was, pointing out that despite having minions grinding for him, he still intended to gather an elite team. He questioned why Yan Yongqing wouldn't just wait for them to finish and then bring them along. Glancing at his phone, Yan Yongqing explained that waiting too long might allow another guild to claim the dungeon. He also mentioned that this dungeon's boss could potentially counter him, making quick action necessary. Hearing this, Su Dingfang lunged from his seat, heading for the door. "Send me the dungeon coordinates," he said, and swiftly left to gather the team. The scene shifted back to the present. The party made their entrance into the level 6 dungeon, the enchanted forest, traveling through an eerie dark wood shrouded in purple mist. Ju Yin, trembling, voiced his unease, asking Su Dingfang if the dungeon felt strange. Irritated Su Dingfang retorted that every dungeon was eerie at first, but became normal with experience. Eileen, the giant archer, handed Ju Yin a lollipop, calling it magical. She mentioned that she ate them when she felt nervous. Staring at the enormous candy in his hand, Ju Yin joked that it could kill someone if thrown. His light-hearted moment was interrupted as Yan Yongqing suddenly realized something. He turned to Su Dingfang and asked, "Where's Dove?" The scene shifted to the dwarf warrior Dove, who stood astonished before shimmering blue crystals, their glow reflecting in his widened eyes. He marveled at the sheer quantity of magic ore and excitedly declared his impending fortune. Without hesitation, he began mining. Upon noticing even more deposits deeper in the cave, he ventured further, hoping to find rare minerals. Dove's eyes sparkled when he discovered a golden crystal emitting a radiant glow. Just as he lunged forward to mine it, the crystal vanished, and golden light engulfed him. Back with the party, Su Dingfang expressed frustration at their prolonged walk and questioned whether Dove had truly come this way. Yan Yongqing affirmed that this was the most likely place since dwarves were naturally drawn to mines. Suddenly the dungeon trembled and a deafening noise echoed from afar. A shadowed figure sprinted toward them. Su Dingfang pointed and identified it as Dove. As Dove ran, he shouted for everyone to flee. Behind him, stone golems pursued relentlessly. Smugly, Su Dingfang mocked Dove for being scared of a few golems while retrieving his sword. But then a darker presence loomed. A second silhouette emerged, a level 7 rare boss, the Weeping Wraith. The party's eyes widened as the towering statue of a horned woman with glowing green eyes and a body drenched in oozing liquid pursued Dove. Watching from the side, Ju Yin internally cursed their bad luck, lamenting how the dwarf had led an even bigger threat straight to them. Without hesitation, he turned and ran, deciding that surviving was better than gaining experience points. The dungeon entrance came into view, its exit bathed in a bright green light. The entire party sprinted toward it, chased by the monstrous statue. Su Dingfang, pushing himself to his limits, noticed the statue gathering energy in its mouth before releasing a torrent of corrosive green liquid above them. Unexpectedly, Yan Yongqing came to a halt. Baffled Su Dingfang demanded to know what he was doing. Calmly assessing the situation, Yan Yongqing noted that the attack covered too large an area to evade. He activated his light shield and ordered everyone to gather around him. A protective barrier formed just as the acidic liquid collided with it. The shield held, though the ground outside it melted instantly. However, the shield began to waver. Yan Yongqing realized that his level 5 light shield couldn't fully block a level 7 boss's corrosive skill, and his flame shield wouldn't work for the entire party either. If they remained, they would all be doomed. Gathering red-black energy in his palm, he activated Twin Summon Swift Summon. The eerie energy condensed before them, stunning everyone as it materialized into his level 5 demon servant Rark. Dove, in utter disbelief, questioned how an adventurer could summon a demon, something even top-level fighters struggled to achieve. But there was no time for shock. Yan Yongqing ordered Rark to dig a tunnel for their escape. The demons swiftly burrowed a passage large enough for the party to crawl through. The giant archer Eileen led the way. Su Dingfang hesitated, asking what Yan Yongqing intended to do. He reassured him with a simple hand gesture and told them to go. As Eileen, Dove, and Su Dingfang disappeared into the tunnel, Eileen voiced her concern about whether he would make it. Su Dingfang grimly stated that he wouldn't be able to escape once the shield dropped, as the corrosive liquid would flood the tunnel. Dove, unwilling to leave their leader behind, called it dishonorable to abandon him. Su Dingfang, however, casually waved it off, saying that Yan Yongqing had something planned. From a cliff above, Ju Yin observed the chaos and felt relieved that he had run first. If he had stayed, he would have been among those about to be wiped out. The scene returned to Yan Yongqing, now face to face with the towering statue. The weeping wraith sneered as the shield finally dissipated, releasing the corrosive liquid. Yet, to its surprise, Yan Yongqing remained unscathed. Ju Yin, still observing from afar, was shocked. A level 7 rare boss should have had a massive skill advantage over a level 5 adventurer. How did he break the boss's attack? The answer became clear. Yan Yongqing had leveled up. Red energy swirled around him as a system notification appeared. Flame shield upgraded to flame armor. The new armor absorbed more damage, consumed more mana, and would persist until manually deactivated or his mana depleted. The battle had just begun. From a distance, Ju Yin observed the scene in shock, questioning how Yan Yongqing had leveled up. Frustration overtook him as he clutched his head, muttering to himself, struggling to comprehend the situation. Yan Yongqing hadn't fought any monsters, so how had he gained experience? The confusion gnawed at him. The scene shifted to 5 minutes earlier, revealing Burner Pondi. He stood alongside Yan Yongqing's other servants in a level 6 dungeon hunting imps. Addressing his companions, he noted that they had already cleared most of the dungeon. "Surely our liege should have leveled up by now," he said. Arbiter Argus turned to him and remarked that the pesky bug, Rark, had seemingly just been summoned by their liege. Pondi, deep in thought, acknowledged the statement, realizing that things weren't easy on their liege's end. He felt an intense urge to join the battle and attempted to sense his liege hoping to be summoned. The focus returned to Yan Yongqing, who was locked in a tense moment. A massive statue of a giant woman loomed over him, its colossal leg descending in a devastating strike. He reacted instantly, dodging the blow by a hair's breadth. As he ran, he drew his sword from his inventory, analyzing the situation. He knew that large creatures moved slowly, and that attacking their lower body was the most effective strategy. Without hesitation, he slashed at the giant statue's leg. The impact destabilized the massive entity, causing it to crash to the ground. Seizing the moment, Yan Yongqing twirled his sword, golden light illuminating the blade. With a decisive leap, he aimed to deliver a finishing strike. However, before he could land his attack, the statue's massive hand grabbed him mid-air, squeezing tightly. The giantess's statue examined her closed fist, but within moments a radiant golden light erupted from within. Her stone fingers crumbled into debris as Yan Yongqing emerged unharmed. With precision, he landed on the statue's forehead and activated his skill, Holy Light Slash. The devastating attack pierced straight through, unleashing a shockwave that obliterated the surrounding area. Debris scattered as the party members looked on in awe. Dove, the dwarf warrior, dumbfounded, voiced his disbelief that a level 6 adventurer had just soloed a level 7 rare boss. Behind him, Su Dingfang, unimpressed, dismissed the reaction, calling it basic gameplay for their leader. But the battle wasn't over. Yan Yongqing sensed something was off. Despite nearly depleting his mana, the fight had felt unusually easy. The difficulty of a rare boss, one level higher, shouldn't have been this manageable. Suddenly, he noticed corrosive liquid converging towards the remnants of the statue. The green substance gathered around the broken stones, pooling together before rising into the air. Alarmed, Yan Yongqing activated his flame armor. As the flames enveloped him, a system warning flashed before his eyes. Low mana. Before he could react further, the corrosive green liquid erupted, sending a violent shockwave across the battlefield. Forced to retreat, he gritted his teeth, realizing that his dwindling mana would only allow the flame armor to hold for a short time. Silence fell. A thick green fog spread across the battlefield. Elsewhere, Dove questioned why the poisonous mist was so dense. Su Dingfang speculated that the toxic liquid had evaporated upon contact with the flames. Sweat trickled down his face as he voiced his concern. "This boss, it has a second phase." The combat environment had become even more treacherous. The fog was not only corrosive but also obstructed vision. He wondered why Yan Yongqing hadn't summoned his minions for assistance. Meanwhile, Yan Yongqing remained engulfed in the green haze. He reasoned that his minions were rapidly grinding experience and would soon reach level 7. He just had to hold out a little longer. Scanning his surroundings, he tensed, trying to locate his unseen enemy. Sensing a disturbance, he slashed his sword, releasing a fireball into the mist. The explosion sent debris flying, but just as he prepared to follow up, a hand emerged from behind him. He barely had time to react. Realization struck. Was it a diversion? Before he could process it, the monstrous woman, now in her second phase, lunged. However, his flame armor shielded him from the impact. Observing her attack pattern, he concluded that the boss had figured out his armor's mechanics. She was forcing close combat to drain his defenses faster. But she had made one critical mistake, underestimating him. From the ground, massive claws emerged belonging to his servant Rark. The Scorpion King clamped onto the boss's feet, restraining her. In that brief moment of distraction, Yan Yongqing struck. With a swift, calculated swing, he beheaded the monstrous woman. As the thick fog began to dissipate, Dove confirmed that the battlefield was clearing. Su Dingfang rushed toward their leader, calling out to him. Yan Yongqing, still catching his breath, asked about the others. "Why are you alone? Where are the rest of the party members?" Su Dingfang explained that the money-hungry dwarf had insisted on going back to collect magic ore fragments they had missed earlier. Not trusting him, Eileen had gone along to keep watch. The scene transitioned to deep within the dungeon where Dove greedily scooped up crystal magic ore into his storage bag. He vowed that not a single piece would escape his grasp. Just as he reached for another, a boot landed on top of it. Looking up, he found Eileen glaring at him. Furious, she demanded to know what exactly he was picking up. Dove twitched nervously, but his expression quickly shifted. His eyes widened in alarm as he turned toward the shadows. There, a silhouette of a dark woman loomed, exuding a sinister aura. Around her, skeletal corpses littered the ground. "What have I been picking up all this time?" Dove muttered to himself. Flipping his bag over, skeletal remains tumbled out, and realization struck him like a hammer blow. Defeated, he knelt on the ground, murmuring that he must have fallen under a charm spell the moment he had stepped into the dungeon. He turned to Eileen, his voice sharp with confusion. "But why didn't you fall for it?" Eileen, the towering giant, hesitated before responding. "I'm not sure either." Dove considered the possibility. Could it be because the poisonous gas settles in the lower layers? Since you're a giant, you avoided the worst of it. But as the shortest, I got the most poisoned. The scene shifted. Su Dingfang was speaking with Yan Yongqing, deciding to call the others to leave the dungeon. But something felt wrong. His calls went unanswered. As he reached out to place a hand on Yan Yongqing's shoulder, a sharp gleam sliced through the air. In an instant, Su Dingfang's hand was severed. His palm sent flying. Blood spurted from the wound as pain twisted his expression. Shock paralyzed him. His gaze darted around, struggling to process what had just happened beside the main character. Dooku lay unconscious, his bewilderment turning to dread. "What is going on here?" he thought. "He was just in front of me. Who cut my arm?" But there was no time for answers. A flash of steel slashed Dooku's throat and he collapsed, lifeless. The dungeon boss, the weeping, vengeful spirit, loomed over Li Huoyan's fallen body, her eyes glinting with intrigue. "Unusual," she murmured. "He's carrying a demonic aura. I must study his body and uncover the secrets hidden within." She lunged, but a hammer whirled through the air toward her. Sensing the attack, she raised a hand and caught it effortlessly, her expression unreadable. Taking a step back, she studied the weapon as it returned to its owner, Dobe the dwarf warrior. His gaze swept over the battlefield. Gu lay motionless and Hoyeon was unconscious. Dobe's fists clenched tightly around his hammer. They must have been poisoned fighting illusionary enemies until their bodies gave out, he thought. Regret burned within him. He had arrived too late. The dungeon boss narrowed her eyes. Why is this dwarf here? Shouldn't he still be hallucinating and gathering magic ores? And where's the giantess? Her thoughts were interrupted by an arrow slicing through the air. She barely dodged the projectile as it embedded itself in the wall behind her, shattering stone on impact. That must be the giant hunter Eileen, she realized. Big, but she knows how to hide. Before she could react, Dobe charged from behind, hammer raised. She turned just in time, catching the weapon with her bare hand. 2 levels below me, she sneered. Did you really think such an attack could harm me? A smirk played on her lips. Since you've come so close, I'll make things easier. A blast of energy erupted from her palm, sending Dobe hurtling backward. Another arrow came soaring toward her. She scoffed, trying to ambush me. Do you think I can't dodge again? As she prepared to evade, a crushing grip clamped onto her leg. Dobe, bruised but unyielding, held fast. A flicker of disbelief crossed her face. Why is this dwarf still alive? Did I not deal enough damage? Through gritted teeth, Dobe rasped, Don't even think about escaping. The arrow was inches from her head. She realized that this time she couldn't dodge. The projectile struck and smoke billowed from the impact. But as the haze cleared, the boss remained standing unscathed. In her grip was the arrow, its tip melted. She had used her skill, rapid corrosion, to instantly dissolve the deadly point before it could reach her. Hidden in the bushes, Eileen watched, disbelief washing over her. No way. No damage at all. Dobe, still gripping the boss's leg, shouted in frustration and astonishment. The boss gazed down at him, smirking. Did you really think 2 low-level adventurers could harm me? She taunted. With a flick of her wrist, she activated another corrosive skill aiming directly at Dobe. But before the attack could land, Eileen's voice rang out from the bushes, shouting Dobe's name. The boss's ears perked. She smirked, having found the archer's position. A poisonous beam shot forth, striking Eileen head-on and sending her crashing backward. The boss turned back toward Lee Hoyan. Finally, she could examine the mystery behind his demonic aura. Then shock. The bodies of Gu and Hoyeon were gone. Her gaze snapped to the ground where a trail of blood led into the distant forest. The scene shifted. Gu, despite his grievous wounds, carried the unconscious Hoyeon, his breaths ragged. You have to hold on, he murmured. You can't die here. Back in the boss room, the weeping, vengeful spirit muttered to herself, admitting she hadn't controlled her output properly in her last attack. She speculated that she might have even killed the special adventurer Hoyeon and lamented the waste. However, as she observed, Hoyeon's hand suddenly emerged from the dust. He remarked that he was beginning to understand how her skill worked. It became apparent that he had leveled up and was now a level 7 adventurer. The weeping, vengeful spirit was shocked. How did he level up again? Where is he getting his experience from? Meanwhile, the source of his experience was revealed. Hoyeon's demon servant Pondi had just defeated the other dungeon boss. Having cleared the dungeon, Pondi acknowledged, Liege should be at level 7 now. The scene shifted back to Hoyeon, who confronted the weeping, vengeful spirit. There was never any resentment from the very beginning, he stated. As he walked toward her, he explained that from the moment they entered the dungeon, they had been gradually hallucinating due to the effects of a faint poison gas. Gathering flames in his hand, Hoyeon reasoned that the poison gas, when encountering his flames, could now ignite. Previously, ignition had been impossible because his skill level was too low and the flammable attribute was suppressed. At that moment, the weeping, vengeful spirit launched an attack. A green blast erupted as she fired multiple poison liquid bullets, commanding him to die. However, Hoyon dodged every single bullet, effortlessly closing the distance between them. He slashed her waist with his sword, cutting through it. Yet as he observed, the wound began healing. He noted that she was using self-healing magic. The spirit, seemingly indifferent, remarked that the wound would leave a scar, and complained that she wouldn't be able to wear bikinis anymore. Enraged, Hoyon charged magic into his hand and attacked her. Unfazed, she pointed out that whenever her poison liquid met his flames, it evaporated into poisonous gas. Once it corroded his shield again, he would be poisoned. In response, Hoyon gave her a serious look and questioned if that was truly the case. At that moment, he activated his skill, Ignition of Time Flame, summoning fire into his hands. The sight terrified the weeping, vengeful spirit, and a massive explosion engulfed her. As the smoke cleared, Hoyon gained 400 experience points, but quickly noticed that the spirit was still alive. However, her hair was now gone. Internally, she acknowledged that she had successfully fooled him again, using her illusion. Deciding to hide for now, she planned to return and settle the score after recovering. Even if she couldn't defeat Hoyon, she intended to eliminate the rest of his party. Before she could execute her plan, a sudden slash appeared, destroying the horns on her forehead. Shocked, she realized she had been ambushed and wondered if a sixth person was present. However, a red hand emerged and touched her back. It belonged to Pondi, who corrected her, stating, "There is also a seventh." Panicked, she questioned where all these people were coming from. But before she could react, Pondi blasted her away. She tumbled like a discarded toy, completely burned. At that moment, a red slash cut through her, severing her body in half. As she remained suspended in the air, Rak opened his mouth and swallowed her whole. After some time, Pondi smacked Rak, reprimanding him for swallowing the dungeon boss. "Liege was supposed to turn her into a servant," he emphasized. "Spit her out immediately." Obeying, Rak regurgitated the dungeon boss. Hoyon observed her closely and noted that she was still breathing. Meanwhile, Pondi and the other demons, including the fallen paladin and neuter, recognized their legion's presence and bowed down before Hoyon, addressing him as their master. The now powerless, weeping, vengeful spirit, enraged at the demons, accused them of being useless scum and questioned why they, being demons like her, were bowing to a human. Refusing to submit, she declared that she would rather die. Unfazed, Hoyon raised his sword and coldly commanded, "Die." In defiance, the spirit screamed, affirming her decision that death was preferable to submitting to a human. A silence fell as Hoyon struck, ending her life. However, in an unexpected turn, she opened her eyes. Her hair and horns had returned. The fallen paladin dismissed her as another piece of trash, while Pondi remarked that yet another underling had been added. Now transformed, the weeping, vengeful spirit had become one of Hoyon's demon minions. Looking at him, she observed his commanding presence. Overwhelmed by his power, she bowed down and respectfully greeted him, "My liege." In front of Li Hoyon, a system notification appeared. He had now become a level 7 adventurer. Skill upgrade. Demonic form has upgraded into Demonic Nightmare. This new form no longer consumes mana, increases damage dealt by 10%, but also causes him to receive 10% more damage. New skill, Mana Amplification, allowing him to enhance his abilities by consuming additional mana. New minion skill 1, Venom Spray, consumes 127 mana to release venom in either projectile or ray form, causing high corrosive damage and poisoning the target. New minion skill 2, Venom Field, consumes 127 mana to create an area of poisonous gas poisoning enemies and inducing hallucinations. As he absorbed the situation, Hoyon collected his loot. Tear of Venom can be used to craft weapons or equipment with poison attributes. It also has the ability to preserve corpses, delaying decomposition. Small bag of magic or fragments. An essential material for crafting adventurer weapons and equipment, which can also be sold for money. Magic blood ore has a higher drop rate from bosses but a very low chance to be mined. It is an essential crafting material. The scene then shifted to Pondi. He felt a surge of strength once again and marveled at the feeling of growing stronger alongside his liege. To him, the experience was simply amazing. At that moment, Eileen called out to Hoyon. Turning around, he looked at her questioningly. Eileen, carrying both Dobe and Duke Gu, informed him that they were in critical condition. Laying them down, she explained that she had used up all the beginner's healing potions on them, but their injuries remained severe. Hoyon assured her that he would handle the healing himself. Just then, he turned to the fallen paladin, who immediately understood what he intended. The demon spoke, assuring Hoyon, "There is no need for you to act personally, my liege. Your subordinate will take care of it." Raising his hand, the demon released a golden, shimmering light that began healing both Dobe and Duke Gu. Observing this, Hoyon noted that they had been just short of gaining enough experience from the boss to level up. Otherwise, they would have been fully healed on the spot. Narrowing his eyes, he found it strange that the stone golems that had appeared with the boss earlier were now completely undetectable. Pondering this, he recalled that they had not attacked the minions during the boss fight. Where did they go, he wondered. At that moment, the weeping, vengeful spirit addressed him, revealing that there were treasure chests ahead that only she knew the location of. Hoyon considered that the chests might contain rare magic ores or even equipment, making it worth checking out. Meanwhile, Pondi observed the spirit and immediately thought that she was trying to gain favor with their liege through loyalty. He regarded her as cunning. The weeping, vengeful spirit met his gaze with a smug look. Duku's condition improved significantly, and Hoyon noted that both Duku and Dobe were looking much better. Though their severed limbs could not regenerate, at least their lives were no longer in danger. He resolved to find a high-level priest to heal them once they left the dungeon. Turning toward Eileen, he instructed her to escort them out of the dungeon and seek a grand priest for their treatment. He reassured her not to worry about the cost. Eileen looked at him and acknowledged the order with understanding. As a precaution, Hoyon commanded Neuter to accompany her. "Yes, my liege," Neuter acknowledged. With that settled, Hoyon and the weeping, vengeful spirit proceeded in the other direction. He instructed the remaining demons to stay in his demon space and follow him to open the treasure chests. Meanwhile, Neuter clenched his fist with a pleased expression, delighted at receiving a new escort mission. He was determined to perform well this time. Li Hoyan considered the disappearance of Zhu Yin the level 4 adventurer. He speculated that Zhu Yin had probably escaped at the start of the boss fight. However, with Eileen's group now accompanied by Neuter, a level 7 demon, they should be safe. The scene shifted to Eileen carrying Dobe and Duke Gu, with Neuter accompanying her. Neuter looked at Eileen questioningly. "Why have you draped a cloth over the dwarf?" he asked. Eileen explained that Dobe's armor had been completely dissolved, and it wouldn't be appropriate for him to walk around naked. Raising a hand indifferently, Neuter remarked, "As a demon through and through in both my past and present lives, I cannot understand such behavior. Teammates are meant to be used. Why should I care whether they are clothed or not?" Before he could say more, the ground beneath him cracked. Alert Neuter quickly jumped away just as a trap was activated. However, as he dodged, chains shot out and attempted to bind him, forcing him toward the ground. Before they could fully restrain him, he sliced through them, realizing his opponent specialized in ambush tactics similar to his own. More chains appeared from both sides, binding his hands and legs. Worried, Eileen called out to him, offering to cut the chains. However, Neuter shouted at her, "Demons do not need your concern. Watch your back instead." At that moment, a menacing silhouette appeared behind Eileen, its red eyes glowing ominously. Sweat formed on Eileen's face as she realized the threat. The figure was none other than Zhu Yin, who smirked evilly while preparing to use an unknown ability. Before he could act, Neuter swiftly broke free from his restraints, landing beside Eileen. Zhu Yin raised both hands, smirking menacingly as he prepared to unleash his skill. "I've been hoping for this confrontation," he said. Meanwhile, the scene shifted to a treasure chest being opened, revealing numerous crystals. Hoyon looked at the contents. "Rare magic ore," he remarked. The weeping, vengeful spirit marveled at his incredible luck. However, Hoyon suddenly tensed and looked aside. Concerned, the spirit asked if he was unhappy with the loot, suggesting that more chests with even better treasures lay ahead. Instead, Hoyon pointed and declared, "Nutter and the others are under attack." He assigned the remaining chests to the spirit, instructing her to meet him at the dungeon entrance once she was done. She acknowledged the order, and at that moment, Hoyon vanished, leaving her clothes billowing in the wake of his departure. The scene shifted again. Blood splattered everywhere. Eileen lay lifeless, covered in blood. Ju Yin approached Nutter, who was now surrounded by an ominous black liquid. "Did you plan to ambush us from the only exit all along?" Nutter demanded. "And what is this black substance?" Advancing toward him, Ju Yin revealed, "This is my unique skill, Black Tar Trap. It's reinforced with magic, making escape impossible." Raising his sword, Ju Yin explained, "After I finish you off, I'll lie in wait to ambush your master." With an evil grin, he wondered aloud, will he count as one share of experience, or will the others contribute as well? Enraged Nutter denounced Ju Yin's audacity to even consider targeting the liege. "I doubt your level 7 rank is even real." However, Ju Yin smugly refuted this. While one can suppress their level, faking a higher one is nearly impossible. As his menacing aura intensified, an ominous figure was revealed in his shadow. "What level do you truly believe I am?" he asked. Now, terrified Nutter realized Ju Yin was indeed level 7, something he had deemed impossible. Ju Yin then revealed that he had already been level 6 when he joined the party, and had gained experience from the boss they defeated. Smirking, he hinted at what had happened to the dungeon's stone golems. Realization dawned on Nutter. Ju Yin had lured the minions away from the boss and slain them beyond the range of shared experience. As Nutter processed this, he called out, "Liege, I hope you can hear this." At that moment, Ju Yin closed the distance, his sword shimmering with a blue light. "Your master isn't here," he assured Nutter, "but I'll personally deliver your last words to him." Just as Ju Yin was about to strike, Hoyon activated his skill, Reverse Summon. Ju Yin's sword strike was blocked, and Hoyon appeared behind Nutter, having blocked the strike by throwing his own sword. A menacing aura emanated from Hoyon. "I heard you loud and clear, Nutter." Sweating, Ju Yin thought, "There's even a skill that can reverse summon the master." At that very moment, the fallen paladin appeared behind Ju Yin. Swinging his sword, the knight exclaimed, "How dare you disrespect the liege die?" However, Ju Yin immediately activated an ability triggering a stone pillar trap that sent the fallen paladin flying. Ju Yin then attempted to attack Hoyon, but Hoyon backflipped over him and landed, triggering a trap known as the Lover's Embrace. From outside the trap, Ju Yin remarked, "You still don't get it." He admitted he hadn't expected Hoyon to bypass all the traps and be summoned directly, "But I prepared an entire set of traps just for you." At that moment, Ju Yin raised his hand. "The coffin of the Lover's Embrace was specially designed for you," he stated, activating his skill and causing numerous sharp spikes to appear within the trap. Ju Yin approached the trap and, upon inspecting it, noted that there was still no experience point pop-up. He realized Hoyon was tougher than expected and must still be alive. Just then, a red energy aura appeared above him. Before he could react, a blast of red energy shot toward him, melting the surroundings and disintegrating him into ashes. Meanwhile, Hoyon was seen holding onto Pondi's tail. While flying, Pondi said, "Liege, I followed your instructions and preemptively summoned you out." Pondi then questioned whether the enemy was dead. Surveying the scene, Hoyon remarked, "Since there was no experience point pop-up, it must have been a decoy." Far away, Ju Yin emerged from a stone, revealing it had been a disguise trap. "I didn't expect him to be so tricky," he thought. Fortunately, I prepared a substitute trap in advance. He noted that the path to the dungeon exit was filled with more traps. While thinking this, he noticed something. Rak appeared from the ground. Upon seeing him, Ju Yin was shocked and gestured for Rak to stay quiet, but Rak screamed, revealing his location. At that moment, Pondi appeared above Ju Yin. "Found you," he stated, looking down before unleashing his hellfire. Ju Yin narrowly escaped and began running toward the dungeon exit, panting heavily. "Pondi is too much trouble. He thought he forced me to waste another substitute trap." He lamented that he had no effective traps for flying targets, but believed the ground spike trap ahead might slow them down. While running, Ju Yin noticed something large above his head. It was the sword of the fallen paladin. The knight was activating all the traps with his longsword, causing every trap to trigger simultaneously. Shocked, Ju Yin acknowledged that the demon knight was still alive. "He used an AoE skill to trigger all my traps." Fear filled his face as he realized he had no time to set new ones and no chance of winning. He had to escape. Just then a voice echoed behind him. "You're not getting away." Terrified, Ju Yin realized it was the weeping, vengeful spirit. She launched her poison skill at him, blasting green poison in his direction. Li Huoyan received 415 experience points. "Is the pop-up real this time, or is it another illusion?" he asked the weeping, vengeful spirit. She replied, "I wouldn't dare deceive you, liege. I have reformed and returned to the path of evil." Huoyan looked at Ju Yin's lifeless, fleshless corpse. "Now it's time to settle the score," he said. The scene shifted, revealing that Huoyan had now made Ju Yin his servant. New minion Ju Yin. Level 7. Class Demon Hunter. He was shown among the other demon servants, looking around nervously. The weeping, vengeful spirit commented, "Looks like we have a newbie." Laughing, Pondi told Ju Yin, "Start calling me Big Bro from now on." Huoyan then arrived and remarked, "We've collected quite a few demons. It's time to assign tasks." He turned to the fallen paladin. "Argus," he instructed, "you're in charge of healing Eileen and the others. Afterward, take them to the nearest adventure hospital and then disguise yourself as a regular person," and instructed him, addressing him as Argus, to be in charge of healing Eileen and the others. "Afterward," he continued, "take them to the nearest adventurer hospital, then disguise yourself as a regular person and remain nearby." Argus replied with obedience. Next, Li Huoyan pointed to Pondi, the weeping, vengeful spirit, and Rak. He instructed the three of them to focus on grinding experience points in new dungeons. They were to bypass any hidden treasure chests or rare monsters that would require extra time, emphasizing that experience points were the priority. Pondi responded affirmatively. Finally, Huoyan turned to Ju Yin, who was visibly trembling, his demeanor now shy and subservient. Ju Yin looked at Huoyan, sweating. Huoyan told him that he and Neuter would switch to their human forms and return to their respective guilds. They were to report back to those who had sent them, claiming they had killed Huoyan and his teammates, so their superiors could rest easy. Afterward, they were to remain in their guilds and report any intelligence back to Huoyan. Ju Yin responded that the plan was brilliant. At that moment, Huoyan dismissed all the demons, and they vanished. The scene shifted to a rocky terrain where numerous blasts were occurring. Someone was heard yelling, "Why isn't the healer doing their job? Why isn't the tank holding the boss?" A level 10 wild boss, a giant mammoth man, was seen chasing a group of people who were running for their lives. One of the women in the group shouted, "If this continues, we're all going to be wiped out." The man leading the group, holding a staff, urged everyone to keep running, reassuring them that high-level adventurers were on their way. The scene then cut to a rocky terrain where a silhouette of a figure appeared. The figure was revealed to be Ju Qi, the level 10 warrior and guild leader of the Ju Scorpion Guild. His appearance resembled that of a lizard man with blue scales covering his body and a white robe flowing around him as he stood majestically. The lady and another adventurer were seen together. The adventurer was identified as Zeke, a level 9 adventurer. Zeke stood firm with his sword and shield. "At this rate, no one is getting out of here alive," he shouted. "Someone heal me. Use everything you have to keep me alive." The lady, a level 8 priest, used her ability and advised Zeke to activate his defense skill early. "I'll start my precast," she mentioned. At that moment, Zeke activated his ultimate defensive skill, Unyielding Shield. A large blue shield silhouette appeared in front of him as he held his own shield. He claimed to have once held off a boss for a full minute with that skill, and stated that holding it for 10 seconds shouldn't be a problem. The level 10 Mammoth Man collided with Zeke's shield, shattering it. Zeke's expression turned to one of horror as the Mammoth Man punched him so hard that he was sent flying, crashing through his comrades in his path before slamming into a large mountain. Other adventurers murmured that the boss had instantly killed Zeke. Sweat appeared on their faces as they remembered that it was the warrior's ultimate defensive skill. At that moment, the shadow of the giant Mammoth Man loomed over them again. One of the adventurers lamented their doom as they trembled. But then the Mammoth Man noticed something. An adventurer shouted that the guild leader of the Jew Scorpion Guild had arrived. Ju Ki was seen standing on a cliff, gazing menacingly at the boss. The adventurers shouted in relief, "We're saved!" Ju Ke jumped from the cliff at extraordinary speed, approaching the ground rapidly. The Mammoth Man charged its fist to punch him, but Ju Ke used his skill, Supergravity Fist, and prepared to deliver a powerful blow. The two fists collided, creating a massive shockwave that tore across the terrain. Ju Ke's punch was so powerful that it not only destroyed the Mammoth Man's hand, but sent a concussive force through its entire body. The pressure of the Supergravity Fist was so intense that it seemed gravity itself was crushing the beast. The shockwave's power destroyed the surrounding ground and sent debris flying. The giant Mammoth Man was completely suppressed. Adventurers cheered from a distance, praising the power of the punch. The priest turned to a bald man and asked, "Will we be caught in the crossfire?" The bald man reassured her, "We're standing far enough away." However, as the words left his mouth, the shockwave reached them. Before he could finish his thought, his head was suddenly crushed. The priest watched in horror as the bald man's body was destroyed, blood splattering everywhere. Terrified, the priest and others began running, but the shockwave was too fast. It caught up to them, and they too were crushed. The priest screamed for help. "I don't want to die," but her cries were silenced. In the aftermath, Ju Ki stood in the center of the destruction. The ground was annihilated with spirals of debris surrounding him from the force of the Supergravity Fist. A small stone rolled among the debris and someone stepped onto it. It was none other than Ju Yin. He observed that the guild leader was as ruthless as ever, even more so than himself. He approached Ju Ke, truly awe-inspiring guild leader. Ju Ki questioned, "What are you doing here? Aren't you afraid of being squashed into paste?" Ju Yin replied, "The guild leader is kind and benevolent. You wouldn't harm me. Perhaps you should issue a press release through Ju Tong claiming the dead adventurers were from another guild and trespassed into our territory, thus getting caught in the crossfire." Ju Ke dismissed the suggestion as nonsense. "What is the real reason for your visit?" he demanded. Ju Yin responded, "I have good news. The culprit behind the Ju Tai case and his accomplice have been killed by me." Ju Ke turned away. "Such trivial matters should be reported to Ju Tong, not to me." Ju Yin bowed slightly. "I understand. Are you off to secretly meet the Lord Angel again?" Ju Ke snapped, glaring menacingly at Ju Yin and activating a gravity skill that forced him to his knees. Ju Yin was horrified by the pressure. Glaring, Ju Ke warned him, "If you dare to gossip again, you'll end up like those piles of meat nearby." Still kneeling, Ju Yin acknowledged him respectfully. Ju Ke disappeared from the area. left kneeling. Ju Yin muttered, "Even at level 7, I'm still being crushed by that scaly lizard." He expressed his frustration. "I hope my liege levels up soon and surpasses him. If there's no work left, I'll go grind for experience." The scene shifted to the Angel Temple. Someone was seen bowing in front of a golden door addressing the Lord Angel. It was Ju Ki. "Lord Angel," he reported, "the suspected savior from 5 years ago has been dealt with. I request an epic dungeon key as a reward." A voice from behind the golden door mocked him. "Why do you want a reward for such a trivial task? You've already been assigned an entire region of wild bosses. Do you still not have enough experience points?" Still bowing. Juke explained. "Once adventurers reach level 10, they cannot gain experience from lower-level enemies. Experience from same-level enemies is limited, and wild bosses are scarce." He pleaded with the angel for generosity, citing the many dirty tasks he had performed for them. A guard standing in front of the golden door scolded Ju Ke for disrespecting the Lord Angel. Suddenly, a soldier appeared and raised his sword to strike him down. As he was about to attack, the voice from behind the door commanded, "Stop!" The soldier halted, but some of Ju Ki's scales had already been shattered by the attempt. The voice reminded Ju Ki, "Without being chosen in the dungeon, your entire lizard clan would have been wiped out. Is being a small guild leader not enough for you?" Ju Ki stood up and respectfully agreed with the angel. The soldier stepped back, and Ju Ki noticed the aftermath of the failed strike behind him. The attack had carved a deep path stretching to the distant mountains, showcasing its immense power. Ju Ki thought that any one of the guards could kill him instantly. He realized the angel's true power was unknown, and resisting would be suicide. He resolved to obtain a key from the market instead. The scene shifted again, this time to a tunnel where a man stood before a black portal. It was Li Hoyan. A masked man emerged from the portal. "Here to buy a key too?" he asked. Hoyan confirmed. "What do you mean by two?" The masked man dismissed the question. "Never mind that." "Come in." Hoyan entered the black portal.